back. Actually guys, this is a fake unboxing video. It's already open. This wasn't delivered right at my doorstep. I actually went all the way to Ingo's drum shop in Laguna with my good friend Boris and his wife Vivian. Finally met Joshua Betko, aka Popo, dealer of Diril Cymbals here in the Philippines. And I actually kinda whacked these cymbals already back at the shop. But because I wanted to present these cymbals to you, I decided to make this video. So, let's get right to it. With most unboxing videos that you see, the person is really excited, right? But my purest reactions and excitement were already captured back at the shop. So I don't think I'm gonna do that now. Anyway, first off, we have the... Oh, and here's some proof that these cymbals have already been tampered with. See those fingerprints all over the cymbal? Yeah. Anyway, this is a traditional Sandblasted Ocean Splash 10-inch. This sounds great by itself. However, I don't intend to use this alone, as he has his partner right here. This is another traditional Sandblasted, but this time we have a 10-inch Ocean China, and these cymbals are meant to be used like a max stacks. This pair was designed by Kenneth Mendez, aka Kenjo, a good drummer friend of mine based in Qatar, and he named this the Kenjo Max Stacks. Personally, I prefer to use it this way, splash over China, especially when I'm going for that short ch sound. But it can also be used this way, China over splash. This will give you a sound with a longer decay. So yeah, I love these so much. Very versatile, you can use it both ways, and they're very musical. I love them. Next up, we have the 16-inch D hi-hats. These will be my workhorse hats. Yeah, 16-inch. Some of you might think 16-inch might be too big for a pair of workhorse hats, but personally I rarely use hats smaller than 16 nowadays. I prefer to go for that warm, sloshy sound. But with this one, I really thought about the weights. The bottom is 1,300 grams and the top is 1,100, and that weight combination gives the hi-hats enough stick definition. Just enough to cut for most stuff that I do. So yes, warm and sloshy, dark, but still versatile enough for most stuff that I do. That's why I consider them my workhorse hats. But here we have another pair of hats, which is actually made of two crashes. For the bottom one, we have a 17-inch medium crash from the Sweet series. And for the top, we have a D thin crash. And this combination gives me a hi-hat sound like that of Steve Jordan, because Steve Jordan's my hero and I really love his approach to cymbal choice. He tends to go for big and dark cymbals that have lower frequencies that don't get in the way that much. And I think that became an extension of his playing, because when he plays, he's like pocket king, right? He lays the foundation, he lays the groove, he doesn't get in the way, and his choice of cymbals really helps with that. And it just so happened that I fell in love with that kind of approach to drumming, and my taste in cymbals kind of gravitated towards that as well. You know, I like to just sit in the background and lay the foundation for the artist, for the band to stand on. And this pair of hats really helps with that. Most hi-hats nowadays kind of borderline harsh and have some highs that really get into all the mics and all the ears. But with this one, I can actually afford to hit them harder but still sound unobtrusive. That's why I love this pair of hats so much, because with most people I work with, like female artists such as Moira, Keiko, you're not really going for that cutting sound. I prefer to have a warm set of hats, so that they just support instead of cut. The 16-inch hats will be reserved as a workhorse pair of hats, just something that can be used for everything, at least for everything that I do, but whenever I can get away with it, which is actually most of the time, I will go for 17-inch hats. So yeah, this is gonna be in a lot of sessions. Next up, we have a sweet cymbal right here. This is an 18-inch primitive thin crash, and this sounds nasty in the best way possible. However, I don't intend to use this alone. I actually like to put this over other cymbals, like I tried putting them over a 20-inch crash, a fellow 18-inch, even over bigger cymbals like 22 and 24-inch rides, and they all sounded awesome. And it's so amazing to get so many sound options out of just one cymbal. I love it. Now we're entering the 20-inch zone. Oopsie. And for the first one, we have a 20-inch D thin crash. This will be my workhorse crash. In my head, I have this sound of a crash that works for almost everything, and this cymbal gives me that. For the next one, this is one of my favorites. This is an Aslan 20-inch thin crash. The Aslan series is just like the D series, but with these rows of hammering, and these hammerings make the cymbal darker and trashier. And I like using these as auxiliary crashes alongside the D series because they just blend so well together. The D giving you a more warm, traditional kind of sound, and the Aslan has that same sound but darker and trashier, and they just play so well together. However, I can also use this as a main crash in stuff like R&B and funk. So yeah, I love this so much. Here's another one of my favorites. This is a primitive 20-inch thin crash. Dry, trashy, looks awesome. Could you ask for anything more from a cymbal? I see myself using this as either an auxiliary crash alongside the Aslan or as a main crash in, like I mentioned earlier, R&B and funk records. Very sweet cymbal. Now we're entering the 22-inch zone, and for the first one we have the 22-inch D thin crash. For most stuff that I do, I actually use 22-inch crashes as my main. I just reserve the 20-inch for moments that require that more conventional type of sound, but whenever I can get away with it, which is most of the time, I go for 22-inch rides or crashes as my main. And this cymbal right here will be in most of the stuff that I do, almost always as a main crash, and maybe on the right side when I'm using the 20-inch D crash. But yeah, this sounds so warm, so complex. So lush. And it's so versatile because it's a crash, but you can ride it and it has a nice bell. Yeah, can't wait to use it. Next up, we have the Aslan 22-inch thin crash. By this time, you may have noticed a pattern going from D to Aslan because, like I said earlier, they just play so well together. When I use the D22 as my main and this one as an auxiliary crash, they blend so perfectly. This is probably my favorite auxiliary crash at the moment. Warm, trashy, lush, and like the 22-inch D crash, it can also be used as a ride. I really love the many sounds that you can get out of big cymbals, and that's why I tend to gravitate towards them. And here, second to the last, we have a 22-inch D ride, and this is a really versatile ride because with cymbals you kind of have three stats. You have the crash ability, you have the stick definition and you have the bell. And when you prioritize one, you kind of compromise the others. Like if you want more crashability, you lose on stick definition. But with this one, it's kind of balanced all throughout. I can crash it, the stick definition is nice, and it has a great bell. So yeah, this is gonna be like a session ride, a workhorse ride, a ride that works for almost everything that I do. But I've always been in love with 24-inch rides. Whenever I can get away with it, I reach for 24-inch rides. It's just so amazing how many sounds you can get out of the big playing surface. And the sound they make is just so dark and don't get in the way, especially with this one because this is a thin ride, a thin 24-inch ride, and really the crash on this is huge, is lush, but same as the 22-inch ride, you don't lose on stick definition and the bell. Like I feel like I can actually use this for almost any session. And also I like washing on my main ride, and this cymbal gives me the sound that I need for those high points of songs, for when you just kind of need that consistent noise to fill the music. This is perfect for that. I can't rave enough about this ride. I'm so in love with this, and I can't wait to use it. So that's my initial cymbal setup. Diril actually has a lot of other series and covers the whole spectrum of cymbal sound. But for the sound I'm going for, I think the D, Aslan, and Primitive will be my go-to. It's also worth noting that I got these cymbals in thin weights. When I gave my first order request, I actually specified the exact weights that I want for each cymbal. And I really commend Diril on this because when the cymbals got to the shop, we put each one on the weighing scale, and believe me or not one cymbal strayed by more or less than 20 grams. And I think this speaks a lot about the work ethic of the company and their precision, and they just really gained my trust. So yeah, I'm really in love with these cymbals. I look forward to using them on recordings, on my teaching, and on my gigs. But first, I want to let you hear them. Time to put them on the stands. Let's get playing. So that's it. I hope you love the cymbals as much as I do. If you have any questions about Diril, feel free to drop a comment below or message me on Instagram or Facebook. Also, I look forward to making more content, so be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching. God bless.